One of the most important lessons to be learned, whether romantic, familial, or friendship, is learning to accept people for who they are and not who we wish they would be. When we place expectations on others to change, grow, or behave in a certain way just to fit our vision, we create space for disappointment, resentment, and emotional disconnection. Expecting someone to become someone they're not often leads to frustration, not because they failed, but because we set unrealistic standards based on our own desires. True connection and peace comes when we stop trying to mold others and start appreciating them for their authentic selves, flaws and all. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean lowering your standards or accepting mistreatment. It means recognizing that growth must come from within, not from pressure. It's about choosing people who align with your values as they are now, not who you hope they'll eventually become. I recently had an epiphany about expectations, specifically the ones I place on other people. For so long, I believed that if I voiced my opinions, concerns, or emotions, they'd eventually become who I needed them to be. But I've come to realize that expecting others to change for me was never fair to them or to myself. This shift in perspective helped me to see that true connection isn't about trying to mold someone into an ideal. It's about accepting people as they are in this moment. I've learned that peace comes not from trying to control outcomes, but from letting go of unrealistic expectations and meeting people where they truly are. So, on this episode, I will be discussing as to why people have expectations for others to become someone they are not, and what we can do to stop having those expectations set on others when really some of them will not or cannot change for us. If you are curious to learn more about not having expectations from others and my honest opinions on it, keep listening because you don't want to miss this episode. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of yours, Druelee. It is I, your one and only host, Druelee, of course. And let's not forget my co-host, Arabelle. If you hear her in the background, she is right next to me. I just want to give her a shout out, okay? But other than that, I hope everyone is doing good. I hope everyone is enjoying the episodes that I am posting and pushing out for you guys to listen to. I know some of these episodes may be a little bit too boring, a little bit too teaching-ish like. I don't know. Maybe I like to teach you guys a few things or two. I don't know. But I am just educating you guys on things that I am learning, and I just want to share that knowledge with you guys. And so if you are up to date on my episodes, you are currently listening to this episode, I hope that you guys are learning a few things about the dating world, the things that I am experiencing as a single woman, or you find these things very intriguing and very interesting, and it's things that you haven't learned about. You're welcome. But I'm just here just to, share my knowledge and educate you guys on things that I've been learning. And of course, on this episode, it's one of those things that I've been thinking about and I have been exploring while I am currently living in this universe and just trying to stay alive. And one of those things are just expectations. Like I mentioned in my introduction, I, for some reason, had an epiphany about this topic for some reason. It got me thinking about my past relationships with romantic partners or relationship with them, my families and friends, or out in a social world, right? If we set a lot of expectations for other people and we expect them to change or we expect them to do certain things on behalf of what we want them to be, a lot of times some people can't meet those expectations. And I just want to, dive a little bit deeper about this. Is it a good thing to have expectation or is it not? And two questions that I had when I was thinking about this, about expectations from other people, is pretty much why people have expectation. Why do people want people to change themselves for them or for the potential that they can become, and what we can do to stop having expectations? Because all in all, when we have expectations for other people to meet our needs and they don't meet it, chances are we are going to be disappointed and we're not going to be happy about it, and we're just settling for something that is not meant for us. And so I just want to dive deep into those two questions, because those are the two questions that got me thinking a lot about, and I found some good things about those two questions. And of course, I will definitely go in depth on those, definitely break them down a little bit. That way, you guys can have a clear understanding as to why we as human beings tend to expect certain things from other people, to have them change themselves for our own liking. And sometimes having people change for our own benefit or to change to make them become a better person, sometimes it's not for our own good. And so I just want to dive deep into that. So let's not waste our time. Let's go ahead and dive right into today's episode. One of the biggest reasons why people feel disappointed, heartbroken, or emotionally exhausted in their relationships is because they're holding on to someone who they only exist in their imagination. It sounds kind of harsh in a way, but it's actually true. And so many of us walk into relationships, whether it's romantic, platonic, families, or friendships, with unspoken expectations. We don't just see the person in front of us, we see who they could become. We see their potential. And you guys, I really hate the word potential, because potential to me sounds like we think that they can become that person, but really they can't, okay? And that's where things start to shift, not always in a healthy way. And with that, I just want to dive more in depth as to why people have expectations for others, to have them change themselves to become someone they're not. And there are 6 points that I found when exploring this question. And of course, there's many, many reasons as to this, but I feel like these 6 main points are true to what I've have experienced and what I've seen from other people. And let's dive into the first one. The first one as to why people have expectations for other people to become someone that they're not is because we tend to fall into the idea of potential and not reality. Like I said earlier, I don't like potential. And I understand we are human at the end of the day. We want to believe in people. And so when we see someone who's kind sometimes, or emotionally available sometimes, or even motivated sometimes, right? These are just examples, right? We hold onto the version of them that we hope they'll become consistently. So then we start writing a love story, right? A friendship, a bond, based on future potential and not present behavior. And here's the thing, that version of them might not even be real. It's who we imagine they could be if only they changed, healed, tried harder, or love us differently. But the reality is that this is who they really are now. And when we ignore that, we start building emotional attachments of fantasies, not people. We pretty much are in our little Delulu land, basically. Okay. Number 2, we believe love means fixing or saving that person, right? And for many people, especially those who grew up in emotional, unstable environments, love becomes about caretaking. We think that if we love someone hard enough, we can pull them out of their pain. We can help them grow and we can make them better. We then take on their emotional work as our responsibility and we say, they're not ready yet, but I'll help them get there. We have to understand that love isn't a project. It's not about changing someone, it's about choosing someone. And when we attach our self worth to someone else's transformation, we tie our happiness to something we have zero control over. Number three, we project our own values and desires onto others. Now, sometimes we expect people to become someone they're not because we just assume that they should want what we want, right? If we value growth, we expect them to evolve. If we value emotional depth, we expect them to open up. If we value ambition, we expect them to dream big. Not everyone shares the same values, and that's okay. The problem comes when we demand alignment instead of recognizing and accepting differences. So, expecting people to adopt our worldview without truly understanding or respecting their leads to disappointment and often a breakdown in connection. Number four, we've been conditioned by movies, medias, and cultures. So, from childhood, depending on what you've seen when you were little, the Disney movies or the songs that you hear, or even your own culture, we actually have been fed the idea that love is transformative, that the right person would change for you. So, for example, we think that the bad boys will soften, the emotional unavailable will learn to open up, and the selfish character suddenly becomes selfless, all because of love. So, when someone doesn't change for us, it feels like a personal failure. Like, maybe I didn't love them hard enough. Maybe if I was better, they would have become the person I needed. But real life doesn't allow a script, and people don't change just because we want them to. They change because when they're ready, and only if they want to do so. And number five, we're afraid to let go and start all over again. We're expecting someone to become who they're not can also be a form of emotional survival because letting go hurts. And I understand I was there, it suck ass, but we just have a hard time letting go. We have a hard time walking away. And by walking away, it means accepting that the potential we believe in will never become reality. So instead, we stay, we wait, and we are just hopeful human beings, hoping that this person will change and change for the better because they either love us or we love them or whatever it is. We tell ourselves maybe they just need more time or maybe they realize what they have with me. But deep down, we all know that we're just holding on to dream and not the person itself. And lastly, number six, the reason why we tend to have expectations for someone to become someone that they're not is because we think change equals proof of love. And this is a big one because many people believe that if someone really loves them, they'll change, right? That change becomes the ultimate validation. And so when they don't change, we do take it personally. We think if I were enough, they would have become what I needed. But someone's inability or unwillingness to change doesn't mean you're not worthy of love. It just means they are being true to who they are, and that version of them might not be right for you. So then what happens when we live like this? When we expect people to become someone they're not, we live in constant disappointment. We feel drained from trying to fix or guide them. We develop lots and years of resentment for who they are now. We overlook our own needs in service of their potential. We become stuck in emotional limbo, like as in waiting, hoping, and hurting. And worst of all, we start losing ourselves in the process. With that being said, expecting people to become someone that they're not isn't really love, though. It's control disguised as hope. And while it might feel noble, it's actually a recipe for heartbreak. The healthiest, most fulfilling relationships are built on acceptance, not expectation. They begin when you say, I see you, exactly as you are, and I choose you anyway. And if you can't say that, then maybe it's time for you to choose yourself. Love shouldn't never be a sacrifice of your peace, your worth, or your truth, just to hold on to someone who was never meant to be in your life in the first place. And so now that we actually know why we tend to put expectations on others to become someone that they're not, let's move on to the second half of the question that I have about expectations from others, is that how can we stop having those expectations so that we can genuinely accept people for who they are and their authentic self? So, what if I told you that the peace you're looking for in your relationship won't come from someone finally becoming who you want them to be, but from you really letting them be who they are? It's the hard truth, and one most of us don't realize until we're deep in a cycle of disappointment, frustration, and feeling emotionally exhausted. And why is that? It's because at some point, many of us have expected someone to change, not necessarily in a bad way. We're not villains in the story. We just have good intentions. That's all. We saw the potential in that person and we believe that they can grow and become that person. We have told ourselves that this could be an amazing person if they just tried, right? But over time, we weren't loving that person. We were loving the possibility of who they could be. So, how do you stop expect someone to be someone they're not just because you want them to be? Let's talk about it because this shift is less about them, but much more about you. And I have 7 main points that I will be discussing. And the first one is, in order for us to stop expecting people to be a certain way, is that we have to accept the reality over the fantasy. You have to be willing to face the truth. You might be more in love with the version of them in your mind than the person standing in front of you. And that's not fair to you and to them. Ask yourself honestly, are they showing you who they really are through their actions? Or are you holding out hope for who they might become one day? The only way to move forward is to let go of the story you've written in your little Delulu head and accept the chapter they're living in, not the future version, the present one. Stop being delusional and be realistic. If you don't see the person for their real self, you will eventually not see the true self, and you will have expectations for them to change for your delusional thinking. So let's take a pause, think about this, and see our life in a realistic view versus in our Delulu land, okay? Number 2, we need to stop making love conditional. We often don't realize we're doing this, but when we expect someone to become who we want them to be, we're sending the message saying that you're not enough as you are. I'll love you more when you become blank, right? That's not unconditional love. That's love with terms and conditions attached. So please ask yourself this question. Would I want someone to love me only if I change who I am? Probably not. Number 3, we recognize the need to control. When we try to shape someone into who we want them to be, we're not just being hopeful, we're trying to control, right? Control how they show up, control how they love, control how they grow, so forth, so forth. But here's the truth, you can't heal someone's wound, make their decisions, or force their evolution. People change when they want to, not when you want them to. Your role as the partner or as a person that is in that relationship with is to not mold them. Your role is to observe and decide, can I accept this person as they are? And if you answer that question and you cannot, then you might as well just walk away. But are you willing to walk away? That's a question you have to ask yourself. Number 4, separate compatibility with potential. So just going back to the first question and diving deeper into the potential of that person, right? Just because someone has potential or is a good person, that doesn't mean they're the right person for you. Compatibility isn't about who they could be, it's about who they are now in the present time and whether that aligns with your values, needs, and goals. So stop waiting for someone to grow into who you need. If they're not it now, that's your answer, not your challenge. I would much rather have you see the compatibility in a person than the potential of who they are because let's face it, potential is not real, okay? It's fake and a false representation of the person you have in your head. So let's come back to earth. Let's come back to reality. And we have to understand that we can't fake or have this assumption that that person could potentially be that person, but really they're not, all right? Number 5, come home to your own needs. Often when we focus so much on someone else's potential, we will neglect our own reality. More importantly, we neglect ourselves. We silence our discomfort, we ignore our boundaries, and we convince ourselves that wanting more is being too much. But it's not. You're allowed to want emotional availability, effort, maturity, respect, consistency. Love that doesn't require waiting, fixing, or rescuing. The question is, are you honoring your needs or are you abandoning them for the sake of potential? And if you haven't heard my last episode, I talked more about this. And so if you want to go back and listen to that, go right ahead because you don't want to lose yourself when you're in a relationship. You also got to make sure that you are important in the relationship as well too, okay? Number 6, you want to understand that letting go is not failure. Letting go of the person you hope someone will become is not giving up. It's choosing peace over potential. It's choosing your reality over a fantasy. It's all in all choosing you. And that's not weakness, it's actually strength. Because here's what no one tells you. It takes courage to stop waiting. It takes wisdom to stop forcing. And it takes deep self-respect to stop trying to change someone who never asks to be changed. And lastly, practice radical acceptance. Radical acceptance doesn't mean approving of everything someone does. It just means saying that I see you exactly as you are, and I accept that this is your truth. You may still choose to love them, or you may choose to leave. But either way, your decisions are now based on reality, not who you hope they'll eventually become. And that's where freedom lives. So, all in all, with this, you don't need to be in a relationship with someone's potential. You don't need to rewrite someone else's story just to feel worthy of love. The right person for you will not need convincing, changing, or fixing. They will show up as themselves and love you as yourself. So let go of the version of them you're holding onto. Let go of their potential. Let go of your delusional thinking of whom they can become and come back to you, your truth, your peace, your power. Because sometimes the greatest act of love isn't getting someone to become who you want them to be. It's choosing someone who already is who they are. When you have less of an expectation on the person you are in a relationship with, you will see the good and abandon them. And you'll be able to ask yourself this question: can I accept or be okay with them behaving this way without asking them to change? Even if you are wanting them to change for the better, at the end of the day, they have to be the one to want to change, not for you, but for themselves. And so that's what I found. I know this is going to be very short and straight to the point just because it got me thinking so much about this. And especially when, let's say, for example, you're in my shoe where you're single and you are, I don't know, in the future, get yourself into a relationship. Are you going to expect a whole bunch of things from that person? If you are comparing your previous relationship with your next relationship, are you going to expect a whole lot from that person? I have to ask myself that question. And my thing is this: I don't want to expect a certain person to become someone that they're not, or to become someone that I want them to be. It's either they have it or they don't. And you guys, you're not obligated to stay in a relationship with that person. You're not obligated to change that person. It's not your job to do that. And like I mentioned in my points here, is that you're not supposed to change that person. You're not supposed to force them to have them change to become someone that they're not. If you see that they can become someone greater, it's good to share that with them, to give them validation that they can be that person. But if they don't see that, stop pushing it. Stop forcing them to see it. Stop staying in that relationship just so that, I don't know, you can have love or you can get love. Like, it's not even worth it. I've come to the point where if I meet a guy that I see that, okay, yeah, he can be someone that I see myself with, someone that I can date or get married with, right? But if there's certain things that he doesn't match per my values, my standards, things that I deem to be valuable in my life, any morals that the person have, if none of the things that he has does not match what I am looking for, and one of my major things that are important to me when it comes to relationship and the individual, that I'm not going to stay. I'm not going to be in my Delulu head thinking that we will be together or yes, we can make it work. And I understand, okay? I know men and women, we both sometimes play this movie in our head where when we meet someone, we already thought up of our future together, right? Going to get married with this person and have kids because this person's great. And yes, I see that this person can become this person, right? But we have to come back to earth. We have to come back to reality. If this person is not meeting your main values, your goals in life, standards, and all that stuff, right? Things that are important to you, that you are looking for in a person, don't try to mold that person to be that person. Stop expecting that person to do things for you. Stop expecting the person to change for you. Stop expecting the person to, I don't know, go to church or become a Christian. Like, stop expecting. They have to either become that person or be that person. And if they're not, it's okay. Time to move on. And like I also mentioned, we also have to learn to let go. We can't hold on to things that are not meant for us. And we can't hold on to things that are not aligned with us too. And I've learned that, yes, we all want love. We all want companionship, right? I'm in a part of my life where I don't want to fix nobody. I don't want to teach anybody anything. I don't want to be another mom to a man. Like, I'd rather birth a boy than to adopt a boy, okay? That's my thing. Like, we all have common sense in this world. We all know what we want, what we need. And if this person is not showing up the way that you want, then you're the more than welcome to leave. You're more than welcome to go. And of course, I can definitely dive a little bit deeper into divorce as well too, because I feel like I have a little bit more knowledge as to why some people will want to divorce, why some people don't. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in my previous episode as well too. I don't know. Sometimes I forget what I talk in my podcast, but other episodes that I will be talking pertaining to divorce, it will be a different topic, but that's for another day, right? Let's just go back to what I was talking about earlier. Yeah, just stop having expectations. The more you expect a certain person to be the way that you want them to be, and they're not showing by their action that they're willing to change, then it's just a sign for you to just give up, stop asking, stop expecting, and time to let go and move forward. That's how I see it. I think we should have requirements instead of expectations if they don't meet your requirements, like the standards, your goals and your values in life, then they're not it. And it's time to cross them out and move on. Simple as that, right? And I feel like the more we learn how to let go and not think that everybody is for us, then we will eventually attract someone that is meant for us and that we wouldn't have to suffer so much. Because nowadays you hear that a lot of people are having issues within their relationship, and it's just sad to know that some people don't realize that the person that they're with, they're not meant for them, and they're just holding on because that's all they know, and they're still hoping that that person will change for the better for their relationship, for each other. But in reality, if you constantly tell the person one thing and the same thing over and over again, and they still haven't comprehended in their mind, and they don't understand it, or they refuse to do it, or they know it but then they don't want to change for the better, that's a huge sign to let you know that it's time to cut that relationship and just move on. I know it's easier said than done, but trust me, I did it, and look where I'm at. A lot happier. Okay? Less drama. I don't have to take care of an adopted son. I am just taking care of me and Ariel, and that's it. I'm happy with that. I just want everybody to be in a happy, successful relationship. And like I said, relationships are not perfect. There's ups and downs. But at the end of the day, if the both of you guys can come together and agree to disagree and change for the better for the both of you guys and for the relationship, great. But if that other person is unwilling to consider what you have to say about them, and it's not in an offensive way, but it's more of to make them be aware, to make them be accountable of their action. If they're unwilling to take accountability, they are unwilling to see outside of themselves, that is a huge sign to move the fuck along, okay? But anyways, I'm just gonna end it here. The more I talk, the more it wouldn't make sense to you guys. So, but yeah, I just want to share this piece just for you guys, just because like I said, I've been thinking about this. I think a lot about a lot of things, okay? And expectations are just one of those things that I've been thinking about. And I just realized that I can't expect certain people to be the perfect image for me or the perfect person for me. I'm not perfect either, too. But it's more of, instead of expecting other people, have your requirements. And if they don't meet that, obviously you tell them. But if they do it the second time, or if they don't see where you're seeing, then they're not for you. That's it. And it's time to just let go. And so for those who are single and who is trying to find someone, that's my tip right there is stop having expectations. Get your requirement list on. If that person that you're dating or you're on a date with, or you're trying to get to know whether or not the person's for you, if they don't meet your requirements, or if there are certain things that they don't align with your standards, your values and goals in life, then they're not for you, and you can't change them to become that person. Maybe you just need to date yourself a little bit more. I don't know. And so, yeah, that's just pretty much how I'm going to go about when it comes to meeting people or meeting that potential, not potential. We're going to scratch that word. Meeting that future partner, okay? And if I don't see that in him, I move the fuck along. So I hope that you guys enjoy this. I hope that it got you guys thinking about your expectations, not specifically in a partner, but like within your families, your friends, coworkers, in the social world, whatever you are building a relationship with. Let's not expect a lot from anybody, more of requirements. And if they don't meet it, it's okay to accept them for who they are, but just move along. Just gotta learn how to let it go. Other than that, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Again, you guys can find me on my Facebook page and my Instagram, TikTok, What else? Spotify for my podcast, Apple Podcasts as well, my website at yourstruly.com. And other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.